It's Tobago Thursdays this morning. We continue the conversations with Tobago, but we're taking a different angle now because, of course, recently the JS, the Joint Select Committee, returned the amended versions of the Constitution for Tobago Self-Government Bill as well as the Tobago Island Government Bill 2021. Now, this, of course, follows the public consultations that were held last month, and the committee also held deliberations with Queen's Counsel. And this morning, we want to welcome Deputy Political Leader of the PDP, Mr. Farley Augustine, to chat with us a little bit about what that means and what's the next step forward. Good morning to you, Mr. Augustine.
Good morning, sir. How are you going? Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
I good, man. I good. All right, so let's get into it one time. The amendments that were made, how you feel about them?
I feel, just like the majority of Tobagonians, that the amendments have not gone far enough to match the ideal and to match what Tobagonians have been saying for a very, very long time that they want. In fact, if you are familiar with the history of Tobago's push for what we call internal self-governance, or some people call it autonomy, call it what you may, then you know that there are four primary things that we expect from these bills. And in fact, on March 9th, 2018, the Prime Minister, in laying the original bills in Parliament before it went to the Joint Select Committee, highlighted these four areas. One, equality of status between the two islands and a legislative framework to reflect such equality. Two, a federal type system of governance. Three, that there must be some definition and delineation of boundaries for each island in accordance with the Constitution. And the fourth thing is that the responsibility for Tobago administration to formulate and implement policy on all matters affecting the lives of Tobagonians. Those are the four primary areas. And the bills, while some trinkets are being dangled and while some progression has been made, it's not there quite as yet. And so one of the things that I am seeking to do this week, back yesterday, just after 1 p.m., I emailed the political leaders of the other political parties on the island, and I'm saying to them, this is our perfect opportunity for us to come together on these matters and to speak to the national parliament in Trinidad with one voice, a common Tobago voice, a singular response, because I think the national parliament will be hard pressed to not give us what we desire if it is they see that we all agree, especially given that we are still locked together in a 6-6 impasse at the THA. It will be a perfect show that despite political differences, we can do this.
Question, Mr. Augustine. In terms of the consultations that were held before, wasn't that the purpose, to get the one voice so that we're on the same page going forward?
Yes. Well, I thought that was the purpose of those consultations. But the way the JSC works, the way governance works in Trinidad and Tobago, unfortunately, is that consultation does not always mean acceding to the wishes of the people. Consultations is sometimes a matter of formality, just to say, hey, we heard you, but it doesn't always end up reflecting the will of the people in the final outcome.
So are you saying that the final bill that has been proposed, the amended versions of the Constitution, that they are not what was discussed in the consultations?
I'm saying the latest version of those bills, because we had several versions.
Right.
The latest version, which was laid at the Parliament yesterday, I believe, still has some ways to go. It is still missing the mark in some key areas. And although it's being laid in the Parliament, there is still an opportunity that further amendments can be made. So I'm not throwing away the process. I am not saying it is all done with and it's now all a failure. I'm saying that there is still an opportunity for us to press together as one team, something that we have not been able to do for quite a while. Although we are drawn 6 apiece, we have not been able to quite do that. And I think I think is perhaps by providence that we drew 6 apiece, so that in a moment like this, 6 of one, 6 of the other, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, we can together advocate for the people of Tobago.
But you all haven't been able to successfully do that so far. How long have we been at this 6-6 deadlock, and we still haven't been able to say how can we move forward together as one? But if we in the same crate and it's 6-6.
136 days. Yes, I am counting. 136 days ago, we drew 6 apiece at the THA elections. And the truth is, as the team lead for the Tobago House of Assembly elections for Team PDP, I could tell you we have placed several suggestions on the table. Several. We have even offered the other side, hey, you take the position of chief secretary. Hey, you take the majority in the executive council. Hey, you take the position of presiding officer. Hey, let's find some mediators who can mediate and bring us to common ground. Unfortunately, those on the other side have been far less than willing for there to be some accommodation, which will even be able to facilitate fresh elections. Because the truth is, there is at the moment no way for Tobago to go back to the polls based on how the THA Act 40 of 1996 is structured. Based on how that's structured, there are only 2 ways we can have an election. Because unlike the national parliament, elections aren't determined in Tobago by the chief secretary. Elections are determined in two ways. One, on the 4th year anniversary of the first sitting, which means that just like in the US situation, it's a predictable timeline.
Yeah.
Or by resolution of the House, meaning that the House meets and decides to close up shop earlier. Those are the only 2 ways prescribed in Act 40 of 1996. We have not been able to fully form out the THA, so we have not had a single sitting in 136 days.
Yeah.
So we can't go back to the polls or dissolve the House before time by resolution. And since we have not had the first sitting as yet, getting to the 4th year anniversary of the 4th sitting, which will take us to 2025 thereabout, is a stretch. And I don't think Tobagonians will want the current situation to hold fast for 4 years. That
would be a bit problematic.
And undemocratic, definitely.
Tell me something. Does the current bills, the amended bills, do they treat at all with resolving the current deadlock?
And that's the thing. The current bills do not. Well, what happened? They don't really treat with dissolving the deadlock. Remember, the Prime Minister carried a bill that was passed by a simple majority in the House, where he sought to increase the number of seats to 15. And if after an election there is no sitting because there is a deadlock, then we go back to the polls in 3 months. But here's the thing: that bill was passed with a simple majority, and therefore it does not hold the kind of weight as if it was passed with a special majority, which would have forced its implementation immediately. With a simple majority, the parliament cannot just overturn the election of 2021 and start afresh with new rules.
All right, so maybe I need some clarity on this, because it being passed means that it's passed. So how long does it take to implement, even if it's a simple majority or a special majority?
All right, so let me break it down further. Elections and the right to vote is a constitutional right.
Is that right? Yeah.
Provision. And based on our laws, anything that is inconsistent with the Constitution is null and void to the effect of its inconsistency. And as a rule, if you are to abrogate the constitutional rights of anybody, then you need a special majority to do so. Okay. So to implement any policy that will alter what will normally be your rights, you will need more than just a simple majority passed in the House. And because it was only passed with a simple majority, it cannot have the weight of undoing the constitutional right to a 4-year term of an assemblyman, or the right of the citizens of Tobago to decide, hey, I wanted there to be a 6-6 tie. Work it out. That is what I wanted. That's what the electorate said. And so to
It is.
undo that, you really needed a special majority.
No,
Barring
you
that,
see, this is where politics gets very, very tricky for me, because a majority is a majority. But either way, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning, Farley, Augustine, and for sharing your views on the amendments to both the Self-Governance Bill and the Tobago Island Government Bill 2021. Farley Augustine, Deputy Political Leader of the PDP. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, we take a quick break and come back. No problem. We take a quick break and come back with more. We're still talking Tobago when we come back. It's Tobago Thursday.
Everybody is somebody.